I want to give a big welcome to Jay and to Christine. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited for this session as well. This session, we're diving into a really engaging application of AI avatar-based simulation for behavioral health training. And you'll get to see a live demonstration from Jay and Christine and get a sense of how this approach supports practice, feedback, and reflection. So as you watch, consider what makes it possible what makes this possible and how you can integrate it into your own workflows or instruction. Jay and Christine, thank you again, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Zarian. Do you want to load the slides?
Yes, there we go.
Wonderful. Apologize in advance. I'm getting over a cold, so my voice is a little gravelly today. But hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Jay Burke. I'm the chair for the Marriage and Family Therapy Division at the Chicago School. I'm presenting today with my colleague, Dr. Christine Nazarian, who is core faculty in the Marriage and Family Therapy Division. Our presentation today is Your Next Practice Client is AI, avatar simulation for behavioral health training. So we're going to walk you through how we've been using AI-powered avatar simulation in our marriage and family therapy curriculum. And then we're really going to try to focus on showing you the tool in action, both the avatars themselves and then the feedback here in a moment. Next slide, please. So we'll start with a question, which is, how do you practice being a therapist before you have a real client? And in most behavioral health programs, including our own, the main option has been peer role plays. So a classmate plays the client, you practice your skills, and then you talk about it together. And there's absolutely some value in this, but there's some real challenges as well. As we've seen over time, the person playing the client isn't necessarily trained to respond the way a real client would. And then there may be inconsistency from one role play to the next. And then depending on how the process is set up, might be also limited opportunities for structured feedback built into that role play process. And so what happens is you have students that move from the classroom to practicum, with real clients without a lot of chances to rehearse the skills they need with real people, working with real people. And this gap is not just in marriage and family therapy, which is the discipline we're in, but in counseling and social work and psychology. This is really a shared problem across any of us in behavioral health training. And so what's changed is that now there are tools that provide AI-powered avatar clients where students can conduct full therapy sessions on their own time with that structured feedback built in. Again, that's what we're going to show you today. Next slide, please. So the platform we use is called SimCare, and the students conduct therapy sessions with avatar clients through spoken conversation. And in the platform, they have individual, couple, and family clients across more than 500 scenarios, representing a very wide range of presenting problems, cultural backgrounds, and relationship structures. And it's fully asynchronous, so students can practice on their own schedule outside of class. And then after each session, they receive a full transcript, which both the students and the faculty have access to, with rubric-based feedback. And this feedback is evaluated against a criteria that our faculty develops. It's not just sort of a generic system input or output. And Dr. Zarian has been very key in developing that, and she'll share a little bit more about that here in a moment. Before I show you a clip, I do want to make one other note about how this tool differs from some of the other tools that you've likely seen and maybe haven't practiced with. So when you hear about AI, often you're thinking about ChatGPT or something similar, maybe Gemini or Claude, and usually that's going to be typed prompts with typed responses. And I've seen that. I've been in other presentations where programs are showing that kind of process for behavioral health training, and that has value, but that's different than what this is. So I want to draw that distinction. with a text-based tool, the student is typing prompts and then the AI is typing back. There's no voice, there's no video, and you lose those nonverbal cues. That structured clinical feedback I mentioned earlier, that may be limited. And then the client's responses are really prompt-based, meaning the student's prompt is influencing how the client responds. So it's almost like prompt engineering with your own sessions. So the avatar simulation is different. The student is speaking to a visible client who responds from a clinical profile they've been given. They have a backstory, they have emotional reactions, and the student has to think on their feet and respond in the moment. So you can't think about it and type your response. You're talking in real time, the same way you would with a real person. And after that, the system produces a transcript, a rubric evaluation, a theory analysis, and there's a chat tool where students can ask follow-up questions. And that's the piece that Dr. Nazarian will demonstrate for you. All right, so we're gonna stay on the slide for a moment, Dr. Nazarian. So we're gonna watch two pre-recorded sessions. The first is an individual client, and the second is a family. And the individual client is using what's called a moving avatar. So it's a little bit more lifelike and realistic to engage with. So I wanted to start with that one. And the piece to remember as you're watching this is like, this is generative AI. So this isn't scripted. There is a backstory for the client, but the client is responding to what I, in this case as the therapist, what I'm saying. And so it's unfolding in real time. And that's the piece to really notice. And then I'll mention even what that's even more important when we get to the family session. So if you're able to load up the individual session, Dr. Nazarian, let's see if you can play this.
Marcus, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Tell me more about what brings you in today.
Man, it's just, I'm kind of stuck, graduated, but can't find a job. Living at home, pressure's on. To be real, it's stressing me out.
So I'm hearing you're feeling a lot of pressure. You're at home and you're on the search for a job, and this is creating a lot of stress for you.
Yeah, that's like the short version, I guess. It's just more than that though. Like it's family expectations, feeling like a failure. Well, you get me, right? To be real, it's like a whole bunch of stuff piling up and I don't know how to deal with it,
So you have not only the job stress, but also it sounds like a lot of pressure from your family to meet their expectations.
Yeah, man, it's just they sacrificed a lot for me to go to college, and now I can't even get a decent job. To be real, it's like I owe them, but I can't pay up. That's what's really eating at me. It feels like I'm letting them down big time.
So there's a really strong sense of obligation and responsibility to your family. They've sacrificed for you. And so you feel like you need to demonstrate that that sacrifice was worth it.
Yeah, man, exactly. It's like their dream is riding on me, and I'm just here. To be real, that's the hardest part. It's not just about me, it's about them too. I don't want to disappoint them, you get me? It's like a weight on my shoulders all the time.
So what motivated you to come in and speak with me today?
To be real, I don't know, man. My girlfriend suggested it, said I've been down lately. I guess I just need to figure things out, It's just a lot to handle on my own. Maybe talking helps, I don't know.
So you're hopeful that talking with me will help, and you also have the support of your girlfriend to come in and speak with me today.
Yeah, she's cool. Always looking out for me. Well, I guess I gotta start somewhere, right? Maybe you can give me some advice or something. Man, I don't even know what to expect, to be real with you. I'm just trying to get my life together,
All right, so let's make sure I unmute myself. So hopefully you saw a little bit of the basic flow there. The therapist, myself in this case, is speaking to the avatar in real time, and then the client is responding to what I'm saying. And by the way, I could make mistakes or say things that might upset the client, and they might push back. We've had students report the client used profanity with them because they got really upset with, based on how they were presenting. So again, this is that generative AI piece that allows this to be like a different experience than just a text-based AI prompt. Let's go to the family session, Dr. Nazarian.
Isabella, Carlos, Alma, welcome. Nice to meet you today.
Hi, thank you for seeing us.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I just wanted to preface this. So this is a family session. It does add more complexity. It doesn't have the moving avatar, so it's just a flat picture But what's really important on this is the idea that each client is responding via generative AI, and they're responding to what other members of the family are saying, and then of course what the therapist is saying. And I'll mention after the clip, part of what really sets that apart from some other ways of role playing. But I want you to see first what it looks like to work with a family in this platform. Go ahead, Dr. Nazarian.
We appreciate it. I'm Carlos, and this is my mother, Alma, and my daughter, Isabela.
Mucho gusto. It is good of you to help us. We need it, I think. Carlos says you are very good.
Hi. Yeah, thanks.
Well, again, glad that you're here. Glad we have this opportunity to meet together. Help me understand what brings you in today.
Well, Isabela had a panic attack at school, and the school counselor recommended therapy. I guess it's just been a lot of tension at home with everything.
She works too hard, this one. She puts too much pressure on herself. Always studying, always with the books. It isn't healthy. And she doesn't listen to her family anymore.
Grandma, please. I didn't have a panic attack because I study too much. It's more than that. And it's not fair to say I don't listen to you. I don't always agree with you.
So Carlos, I hear concern for Isabela, and also that you've noticed tension at home. And Alma, I hear a lot of concern from you for Isabela. And Isabela, I heard you sharing that the anxiety you experienced at school was not directly related to studying. Would you share more about how you understand what happened to you?
Yeah, it's just everything has been like building up for a while, I guess. It's not just school. It's like the pressure at home too, like with my grandma, I feel like I can't do anything right. It's just a lot. And then the test was just like the last straw.
I only want what is best for her, for all of us. I try to teach her the right way, the way of our family. But she pushes away, always with the American things. It is hard to watch. I want her to be happy, yes, but also to be respectful.
It's like two different worlds. My mother, she has her traditions, and Isabela, she's growing up here. It's just difficult to balance it. I try to make everyone happy, but it's not always possible, I think.
Carlos, you did a really nice job there of, I think, trying to see both sides, both Isabela's perspective and Alma's perspective. Is that the role that you typically fulfill at home and in the family?
Yeah, I guess so. I try to keep the peace, it's just easier that way. If I can just smooth things over, then, we can all just get along. I don't like the fighting. It stresses me out.
But it doesn't help because then nothing changes. He just wants the fighting to stop right now. But he doesn't care about like what's causing the fighting. So we just end up fighting again later about the same thing.
He is a good son. He respects his mother. He understands that I only want what is best. It is a hard job being a father and a son. I try not to make too much trouble for him, but sometimes she needs to listen more. She is still young. She doesn't understand.
All right. So hopefully in that clip you saw that the student or the therapist has to manage multiple people, track the relationships, navigate competing narratives, and that's a very different skill set from individual work. It's also something that's very challenging to practice in a peer role play. And so something like this platform allows students to practice those skills before they ever sit with a real client or a real person. And as I've mentioned, after each one of these sessions, then there's this interactive feedback which they receive. And Dr. Nazarian is going to now walk you through what that looks like for our students.
Thank you. So what the system itself gives after each session, right? So you conduct a session that we just saw, and then the system itself is going to give you a rubric evaluation of some basic counseling skills. It'll provide an annotated transcript. It will type out every conversation and statement made by both the therapist and the clients. And then it'll give you a theory analysis, and that's the piece we really worked on and individualized in creating custom theory rubrics. There's a variety of different theories in a marriage and family therapy, and so it allows students to practice and get specific feedback on those theories, and then also has a feature to chat with the AI. And so I'm going to now switch over and show you what the platform looks like. So this is the home screen of SimCare. They have been ever adding clients. Every time I log on, I feel like I'm seeing a new feature and a new client. They have great different categories as well. So for different course related concepts like legal and ethical, career counseling, crisis trauma. You can also look at different presenting issues and presenting problems, which is very helpful if we have a specific diagnosis class or pathology you want students to evaluate. It also allows to create your own clients. So I have sent in little vignettes of clients and families that we hope our students can interact with. And they have created it, those clients' AI specifically for us. There are the features of the moving avatars, which present a bit more lifelike, as we saw in Dr. Burke's videos. You can also pick different age groups. This is great for our child and adolescent class as well as lifespan development. And they are ever working on having more inclusivity, greater intersectionality amongst the clients. So looking at the variety of clients you may see in real life. And then once you complete the session, it'll give you a case review. And these are the aspects I was referring to earlier. One of the first features is to chat with feedback. And right after that session, the student's able to go in and ask questions like, how did I do applying structural theory? And it will generate a response. It allows me to ask, how can I improve? I can ask, what can I do differently next time? And it's really great. It pulls specific timestamps and quotes from the session itself. It is going to reference the theory and the rubric and give you in real time responses. I think especially for students doing this asynchronously, they can get in real-time feedback. So the session is fresh on their mind versus perhaps, in that week when they go back to class and speak to their instructor, this gives them that great interactive feedback and more thoughtful responses because they just engaged in the mock session. This is what the transcript looked like. Since this wasn't a video, there's no recording, but if you did do a video session, it would populate here. And you could see here the full transcript of our session. And a feature I really appreciated, it highlights some basic therapeutic skills that the therapist engaged in. So it's going to point out those skills like listening, being respectful, paraphrasing, and those are great basic counseling skills that span across all type of therapists and counselors, not just MFTs, because those are the basic micro skills we're really building upon when working in therapeutic spaces. There is a rubric evaluation. Since this was a family session, there are basic group counseling skills that it highlights that the therapist engaged in. It provides what score it gives you, and then it also has explanation and examples from that session down below. There is this feature of little highlights, little stars, which I think is super helpful for our students who are not that confident building their skills, trying to not have imposter syndrome. It gives them a reminder of their strengths. What things are they really doing well in real time? What are maybe some red flags, things to improve, spaces to grow? And it does give recommendations to address those things too. So it's not just giving them critical feedback that they feel stuck with. It gives them an opportunity to learn and grow. And I think the feature that they can go back and conduct a similar session with that same client. So they're getting also a repetitive exercise of working, taking this feedback and creating a feedback loop to enforce their strengths and address any of the limitations coming up. And here is what the theory analysis rubrics look like. So the theory I conducted was structural, and the system even asks, did we get it right? Did we pick up the right skills of this theory? So you can go in and approve that. And then it lists out the responses of the rubric that we are looking for. We've also created beginning, intermediate, and advanced rubric prompts. And this is really to help students grow throughout the program. So they begin using this SimCare in one of their first semesters, but they will continue using it throughout the program and in practicum, so they can also see how they're improving in their level of understanding and application of the theory. And let's say too, they maybe miss one of the points, which is understandable. You're not going to hit every single aspect of a theory in a single therapy session, but it does give more feedback, and it will give them ideas or examples of how they could have utilized this aspect of the theory. So it gives them a great point of understanding of something they're missing and how can they improve on that. If there aren't any questions on the features, and the great aspect too is they can download these rubrics, and they will download it, and the instructor and themselves have access to it post their sessions, and they have a library of all the cases that they've conducted, so they could also see their progress throughout time. That is what the website looks like. Just re-upload our PowerPoint. And if you have any questions about the features, we will address them at the end too. All right, go. And so where does this fit? How can we utilize this platform and these skills for our students? It is going to, come on. Sorry, it's down there. There we go. It is going to help with pre-practicum skills. So before they sit in front of a real life client, they now have this practice of these AI clients. We've gotten a lot of feedback because all of their assignments have a reflective component. They also do a summarizing final reflection of these assignments. And a lot of them are reporting just so much more confidence before they sit in front of a real client, and the anxiety that they could get with that. It also helps them rehearse the theory application. So taking concepts we're reading in textbooks and talking about in lecture and perhaps watching videos, now they can get real life application of it. That repeated practice I mentioned earlier of getting feedback, being able to go in and continuing to do sessions on their own time and building their confidence before real clients. Limitations and where it's not really going to fit is really replacing clinical supervision. We still want them to understand the nuances of supervision with a real life clinician, someone who has had the experience and the training in supervision, who will probably pick up more of the aspects clinically than the AI features will. It's also not going to replace real client contact, especially we have specific regulations and our licensures and accreditation. That real life client interaction is not replaced by this. This is simply to replace the academic mock therapy sessions we were engaging in before. And the truth is, it doesn't capture full cultural intersectionalities at times. Sometimes the accent may be off from the culture, and just the complexities we understand of culture in humans too. So understanding it is not a stereotypical black and white concept of culture in working with AI clients. And it's also not a standalone readiness assessment. We have lots of other features of reflection papers. They do conduct a mock therapy session with their classmates as a final assignment. And so we are building in other aspects of clinical work and other role plays outside of these SimCare assignments. What we are really watching for and have built in assignments or checkpoints, points of evaluation, is making sure there isn't over-reliance or false confidence with our students. So, they may feel, oh, I did the same session 5 times. That's exactly what a real life client is like, and reminding them of that barrier. The data bias, AI tends to be reflecting on the training data, which carries bias. So keeping in mind too that the human aspect of reflecting on clinical work is so important. Any privacy and governance concerns, student session data needs clear policies on storage and access, which we're fortunate SimCare is transparent about and has shared with us. And the last sometimes barrier is just technology reliability. Sometimes the website's down for a little bit. Sometimes they're updating things. There have been sessions that things glitch, but we adapt, we provide flexibility, we work close with SimCare, have their chat team available, and understand that technology sometimes can be a barrier, and we're flexible around that. And I'm gonna bring it back to Dr. Burke, but thank you so much. And this is our time for any questions or follow-up for us that you may have.
There's a few questions in the comments button there, and if you want to respond to those.
Yes. So what happened? What you happen to know whether it's possible to use SimCare with avatar interpretations of a client who may not speak English? I'm like gonna check. I don't think they have other languages yet. They do have a lot of other cultural aspects, but I haven't come upon a complete other language yet. But they are a growing quick platform, so I think you can maybe even reach out to them and see if that's something that they're planning to add soon. That would be a great feature, I think, as well.
Right.
Next question is from Alyssa, and I was going to respond here because I think it connects to what Matthew asked as well. So you see where it says create custom client on Dr. Nazarian's screen. So that's available for programs, faculty. I think the students may actually have access to that as well, where they can create their own client. So they've built in a customization feature. But if you really want to dive in and further customize, maybe to Matthew's point, they've been very responsive and supportive. So as an example, when we first started using this platform just about a year ago, and as a marriage and family therapy training program, we're really focused on relationships, and the relational cases were fairly limited. So Dr. Nazarian worked with them to say, this is what we need to see. These are the type of client presentations we want to see. Dr. Nazarian, I think you built out the clinical background and the presentation and the presenting issues, and they were able to build that out. So I haven't seen that feature, Matthew, yet, but I think it's a good idea. And that's something I think that what Dr. Nazarian said, you could make the request if you were working with the platform, and they might be able to put that together. We've been really pleased with the integration of the relational cases since we started working with them. Again, that wasn't there initially, and now there's many options for students to work with. This is what we call systemic cases.
I think the next question of specific to programs or specialities, it does allow you to create different kind of vignette or case assignments that you're able to ask it, look at the diagnosis or address a crisis or have a termination session. So you are able to have kind of those basic variety of skills that I think can be program specific. I spoke to someone from our forensic psychology program and also our ABA program, and building in those kind of basic assessment rubrics specifically for your speciality or program, I think would really take it to that next level for what you're needing for your students.
That is incredible. Are there any other questions for Christine or Jay before we head to the next session? If not, thank you so much, Christine and Jay. This was wonderful. I have so many ideas. I work specifically on our psych program here at LAPU. So this was incredibly helpful and inspiring for me. So thank you so much for sharing, and for sharing with all of us just your expertise and wisdom here.